Welcome to episode 3 of the Watson Sound podcast. I'm your host, Alex Ward, music producer and owner of Watson Sound Music Production Studio in St. Louis, Missouri. In this podcast, I go in depth with artists from far and wide to learn about their stories. Today, I'm joined by Q Houston and Che Sanchez. Q and Che are both rappers as well as producers, and are part of Coalition, a community of education, support, and motivation for talented individuals in their area. The two of them have been in the St. Louis hip-hop scene for several years now, and are constantly pushing themselves to grow. I hope you enjoy this episode with Q Houston and Che Sanchez.
Gotta be a God, see my God is watching me. I'm probably a part of an important prophecy, interpreting a genocide through psychedelic dreams. This is why the weak sheep just seem to always sleep. Gotta be a God, see my God is watching me. I'm probably a part of an important prophecy, interpreting a genocide through psychedelic dreams. This is why the weak sheep just seem to always sleep. Gotta be a God, see my God is watching me. I'm probably a part of an important prophecy, interpreting a genocide.
Welcome, guys. First, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh man, I'm like not too much of what you said, man. I'm born and raised St. Louis, man. I haven't been anywhere else for real. I can say I started making music officially as an artist when I was like about 14, 15 years old, and I think at that point, like consciousness kind of shift for me. So how I saw life was way different than how I did at first. So like a lot of people who know me now don't have no clue whatsoever about how I used to be because of the personality I gained now from making music. Ran into Che. Man, how old were we when I ran into you, dude?
I was in elementary school.
I don't even think my voice dropped yet. Yeah. So ran into him, man. It's always been an inspiration for music in general. A little bit after he started making music, I started getting inspiration for it. So, from then on, it was just like, it was like a rocket ship from there, man.
The funny thing about it is, like, I think I did music. I started doing music before you, or I don't even know.
Yeah, no.
You made me want to do it seriously. You made me want to take it like to a whole nother level. When I started seeing you guys record, I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely where we need to go towards.
Yeah, that was not. There was like a set time around that time where I was just like, it was like this or that for me. Like either I'm not gonna do it at all, or I'm gonna do it and make it like a life, a lifestyle for me now. So yeah, man. It kind of came because there was no other way to really express how or what we've been through, And I'm not really the type of person that goes around saying like, oh, like, sympathize, this is what I've been through, so sympathize with me and buy my project. Like, I'm not really I'm a person of education, so I'm just take of what I did, what happened to me, and then find answers to it, let people know, like, look, this is what I got.
I started doing music when I was in 6th grade. I was originally inspired to do music more towards a poet I saw on HBO one time when I was in 6th grade. My 4th grade teacher always told me to keep writing poetry. She forced my other literary teachers to make me to continue writing. And I saw George Watsky on HBO one day on Most Def Poetry Jam, and I was like, dude, I just started doing poetry. And one day, like, I met my friend Marcus when I was doing digital art and stuff, and he was rapping sorta, and I was like doing poetry. So we just started like trying to actually just make remixes. We made a remix of like Tech Nine, like what was Worldwide Choppers? We did a remix of Worldwide Choppers. We attempted to do it was more like that's all you got.
That's awesome.
A huge start of what actually, like, when I came to think like, wow, this is exactly what I want to do, was like, you actually came to my crib like the 5th day I moved into my new house, with
the CD?
Yeah, with the CD.
Oh my God, that was horrible.
He brought
I'm so sorry I did that to you, bro.
He brought like a mixtape with 5. Bro, you don't realize those were the hits at the time, bro.
At the time
around the block,
the time
those
I
were the
gave
hits.
it to you, it was the hit, and as soon as I left, it was no longer a hit.
Like there's a guy also in our community. You always have to give props to this guy because he took a lot of kids out of the community, like, and to put them into creative zones. Like, I feel like he started this huge, like, we were talking about like a whole revolution. His name was like Roski or Debo.
Yeah, Debo Brown. Yep. He was like at the time we considered him the trap guy to the neighborhood because he did his thing, but what he would do is like, he sings starving artists in our neighborhood. So what he did with that was we would go in his studio. Sometimes we would even talk to him. We'd just go straight to the studio and just start writing, and then he'd come down there, we'd do our little thing or whatever, and then end up making some songs, man. So like, from then it saved a lot of us in our neighborhood. You know, it really did. It saved a lot of us because if it wasn't that, it was just, you know, we were stagnant, not moving, not seeing no purpose whatsoever of us in general. And so when we saw that studio, we automatically realized, okay, here's a purpose. It went from trying to talk to our parents, you know, like with me personally, I went down there just trying to like, I go down there like, man, I'm sick of my mom making me do dishes, I'm finished, you know, something like that, spit that, and then that's out now, you know. I don't know, just a lot of development happened. So I realized I could do more than just talk about my like day-to-day life going down there. Yeah, man, that was definitely a savior for us in that neighborhood for sure.
Gotcha, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What struggles have you had along the way becoming the artist that you are today?
Learning more skills. As you develop, you keep watching yourself. Like the greatest. Okay, people look at this as a downfall about being a musician. It's actually one of the best things. You're always changing. As a musician, you're never stagnant. But the fact is, like, because you're never stagnant, you're also miserable at the same time.
Sure.
Because you're just always like, dang, I'm trying to get better. I'm always trying to get better. But it's like, but you don't realize how awesome it is. You're actually getting better every day.
Yeah,
and
there's always the next step.
There's never a wall. And that's the greatest part about it. But that's also the hardest part about it at the same time. And trust.
Yeah, that wall, man, definitely.
Trust is a hard one too, man.
That's what I was going to get to, man.
Finding a team they can work with.
Yeah, that was my main thing is trust,
together.
Because a lot of people here, like, moocher is probably the best word for it. Like, a lot of people are capitalists when it comes to business and music and all this stuff. So my hardest part, I mean, yeah, of course development's going to be hard. I pull my hair out stressing about that every day, man. But trying to build, man. And we're in a city of a bunch, like I said earlier, a bunch of starving artists. So you got to think, man, everybody's trying to climb to the top, not build to the top, you know? So for all means necessary, they're trying to pull everybody else down. And I'm not going to sit there and act like at one point I wasn't one of them, because I was consumed by that same method at one point, just thinking that's how it was, you know? You know, I got a few of my best friends. We established Coalition, and we established that to break that. And
you want to build up the city.
Of course it's working out, but that main struggle is actually trying to figure out when and where, because we're sitting there constantly just like worried about when, you know, when is this going to stop? When are we going to get to our location? When are we going to make this happen, this, that?
Yeah, and it's hard to find people like, are you doing this for the benefit of the music like industry in our city altogether, or are you doing this for the benefit of yourselves? Like,
right.
The reason why Coalition's so important is because we're not trying to just make a dope group of artists. Trust me, like, it's really easy to make a dope group of artists. I'm talking about, like, we need to make an outlet. Like Debo did for us. Like, not a lot of people have that opportunity to go out there and grind, because a lot of people will stop them. And that's why a lot of people stop. And it is not just musicians. Like, it's just artistic people in general. Like, just people who are, like, creators. We want to make an outlet for these people.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Coalition?
Of course,
man.
Background of Coalition kind of established after a formal group I was with. Coalition came because of what I learned beforehand, you know. I established Coalition specifically, like, started off at this open mic. What happened at that, it was just a bunch of artists getting together, you know, kind of self-explanatory name. Get together, make some passionate music, you know, tons of people would come out whatsoever, blase. Well, eventually that faded out. And so only people that really were left were me and a few other people that were band members of a certain group. And eventually we fell out. And so what I realized at that point what Coalition was just literally people coming together. I had to nip that in the butt. And so at that point, I was like, okay, we can make Coalition way more than what it is. Now, a lot of people think Coalition is a record label or a group, or it's literally a community of not just artists, but people in general that know they have a purpose. And for the greater good, will, you know, want to at least affect people's lives. So, like, when I say Coalition, I don't think, like, artists. I think mentors, you know, I think...
Okay.
Public speakers.
Lord, yeah, I think leaders, you know, that's what it's about, like, what it is. Like, this is a starting ground for these artists. Now, an artist in Coalition may have a $1 million label, you know? That's why I'm saying Coalition is not a label. It's just... literally just a community of artists, a community of people. We have, like, dude, like, his sister is a hula hooper. You know, like such a talented hula. She's actually the girl that was sampled on Numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. She's the one who does hula hooping, and it's like she's a hula hooper, but she has her. What I'm saying, like, the point is, it's all about conceptual purpose. You know, it's all about what you do behind behind your skill, your talent.
And do you need a team behind you? Do you need help actually like talking to people? What things do you need? Like I feel like eventually my goal, I eventually want us to have workshops where we can meet up with kids and like teach them parts of like what they need to learn to actually help grind on their music or their creative like whatever they need to work on for their careers. Like I feel like people need more of an outlet to show that they have expression. We need to be more connected and for each other. I feel like that would be a great,
definitely, man.
A build to a great community in general. Like I feel, we can make so much great change.
I actually used to work at this. Speaking of kids, I worked at a venture club for like 9 months or whatever.
Yeah, after school program. Right?
Yeah. And I was working there for a while, and because what they like to do, they're very community-based kids. Like they're always like, hey, we should do this, but it has nothing to do with what's going on in school. They're always like thinking about stuff outside of school.
Yeah.
Community service, stuff like that. And I'm thinking like, if coalition is what I said it is, why don't I just branch that out to that? You know. So like, I think if you want to see how our future looks, you can just look at the youth. And so therefore, that's why I took that job. I'm like, okay, if our future needs to be good, we got to teach the kids what to separate good from bad, all that stuff like that. And so I took that job thinking like with that mind state too of like how like not just building coalition, because now at this point when I establish coalition, I'm starting to sound more like a not a capitalist, but like I'm just trying to put my hand on everything. That's not the case at all. But like I do know like our children is going to be what our future looks like. So I mean, workshops, man. Beautiful thought, dude. Like something I've always kind of had occurring in my mind, man.
Right now we're just building. We're trying to find people who are in it for like the building of the city. Like that's the hardest part. Is like you find a lot of people that are just trying to like find an opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the numbers change a lot, but I mean, as of right now, we're like at like. I want to say like 12.
12, but like
something like that.
Like we're around 12.
Still a substantial group.
Yeah. And it's mainly just like us affiliating with a lot of people, not necessarily just like because a lot of people think just because we work with them that they're now coalition. It's like we're not.
Once you make a partnership, we kind of view you as our homies. Like it's just how it works.
It's kind of something that's always been approached to us first. Like we all are scouters,
and we'd all promote anyone.
Yeah, that's we do everything like. There's no set person doing this, set person doing that. Everybody just has a job, and if they're better at it than anyone else, and that's like they're probably getting known for that, but it's not. No, everybody does it. There's one person that's probably better at managing everyone else, but everyone's a manager. There's probably one person that's good at producing, but if it comes down to it, everyone's a producer. We
try to get rid of leadership positions by teaching everything.
Yeah, that's what everything that you lack is what someone else is bringing to the table. And so eventually, it's kind of something we all just want to like have down packed. We're like,
it sounds like an incredible community.
Yeah, definitely, man. The vision I have for it is way further than where we're at, and it's going to continue to be like that. No matter if all 10 billion people know of us, how many people is on the earth, man. I still going to find some nick that's going to make me want to go further and further.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
Producing a song I made called Monday Mornings. That is like that's my greatest accomplishment.
Yeah?
That is officially my greatest accomplishment. Like that, it's just like I feel like that's one of the only songs I've produced that's like, okay, I made this. It's exactly what was in my mind. It's exactly what was in my mind when I wanted to make it. Like
and then some.
Yeah, like good. And then some.
Like that orchestra voice that comes in on the hum.
At the end. See,
pretty good, very good.
I like producing because it's just like sometimes you could either you exceed expectations or achieve expectations.
It's like either you hit or you hit through it. Like it's not really like a missed thing. It's like
you create something new.
It's you create something even I don't know. As far as my hymn, I can't even think of that. I think the
Fox.
My first I think the money that came for the Fox became my greatest achievement. I say that because that was the first time I helped my mom pay bills. And, I was like 16, dude. So like I really felt like a bum at that time. Like I should have been doing this way before, but it felt like that was like my first actual cool achievement. I'm just like, hey, she's like, okay. And my mom was always like trying to reimburse me. I don't really like it though, but yeah, man. Nothing. My biggest achievement was nothing big. It just kind of started around that same time. It's kind of what made me realize the potential you have doing what you love. because it's like, okay, now I can do this since I did that, and just ripple effects on and on.
So Che, tell me, what is your process of writing a song?
Dude, there's so many different things I could do, but like mainly I start with a kind of a concept or idea of a chorus, and I go into the producing of it. Like I usually start with a drum, like drums. Like I beatbox all the time when I'm like doing dishes, and I come up like just hum chords. So I kind of like build the beat as along as I'm writing. So it's just like as I'm writing, like you hear breaks going to a specific word. You know what I mean? Like I just want to make sure it's very interactive with the music itself.
How about you, Q?
He writes 6 verses and throws away the first 6 and then writes another one.
Either that or it's like as I come in here and I'm just like, all right, let's see what I got. And I might cipher a verse for all I know. I don't know, man. I just let God speak through me. Whatever happens, happens. Like Eulogy was so spontaneous, dude, believe it or not. Like
I remember that.
Yeah, it was just like we just came in here. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Numbers though, Prophecy was that the first one? Prophecy is what we did.
That was the first one we did.
Yeah,
that last project.
Yeah. And it was just spontaneous. And this next one I'm trying to plan out. So it's just like honestly, it's all about setting a mood for me. I could be in this insane insomniac writing all night, and then still not have what I want, or I can just come in here, just spill it out. It just kind of
stream of consciousness.
Yeah. It's weird though, because even no matter how much like I stress about it, it comes out just how it needs to be. I think my process at this point is just letting it flow.
All right, now who is your biggest influence?
George Watsky and Dumbfounded. George Watsky, Dumbfounded, and Anderson .Paak.
Dude, that right there is like, that's a crazy setting right there. But you can kind of tell, like, you're a type of artist where, like, you can't really tell too much who you're influenced by. But, like, at the same time, it's like...
People say J. Cole a lot, and I won't lie.
But I say, like, 4 different people in one sentence. I'm like, no, not J. Cole. Maybe, no, not Logic. Dude, definitely Anderson .Paak. Nah, not Anderson .Paak. That's artistry, you know?
Yeah.
Can't really put a nick on it. My biggest inspiration, I got 2. My first one's probably Absol right now at the time, but my second one's actually a fighter, and that's Manny Pacquiao. The reason why I say Manny Pacquiao is because the music industry and boxing industry are both two of the most wicked industries. And the reason why I'm getting to that is because you got a guy like Manny Pacquiao who is not a boxer, not a fighter, but a warrior in those type of industries. And it's like, I gotta have that warrior mindset if I'm going to get where I need to be. And Manny Pacquiao knows loss. His life has been around wins. He knows loss. He knows so much, and you can just tell by the way he fights. Confidence. Well, a thing about confidence is A lot of people think that confidence is really speaking what you do, and confidence really isn't. Confidence is just doing what you know how to do, but also being aware of what you can't do. So, you go in like, all right, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. And that same mentality he has in boxing is what I need in the music industry, I got to know when to fight, when not to, knowing how to take loss, so you empathize with the full spectrum. It's not just like, I'm not trying to single out another boxer, but Mayweather. Mayweather's a winner. All he knows is money, 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 income, income. And Pacquiao is more of a community person, just like me. And it's like, I'm not really putting anyone else down, but for me to achieve, I gotta be like that. And so that's why Pacquiao is like my biggest inspiration right now as far as music. And it's such a weird, unorthodox thing to say, but I think that's another issue, not to keep ranting, but like another issue is with people is that their inspirations are what they do. And that could throw them off because now they're trying to compare themselves to the exact sound of what, or like an actor's inspiration is another actor, that could potentially throw people off, and this whole time the road is like, oh, well, since I need to be like that, then you get the next person looking up to you the same way, so it's like
you're almost stuck in that identity.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, where's the horizon at where we can broaden what inspiration means in the first place, So shout out to Manny Pacquiao. Hopefully he hears this.
What motivates you guys?
What motivates me the most, I think it's a fake dream. I don't know, I feel like there's some possible way of St. Louis being the center of the music industry. Some possible way. I feel like there's so much talent here, yet the fact there isn't many people out in the St. Louis music industry kind of like accentuates how the pressing issue at hand, which shows like, imagine creativity like a bottle cap. And if you if a bottle with a bottle cap, and soda inside of it, keep shaking that up for years and years and years, and eventually, what happens if that one person came up through, was like, boop, and took off the bottle cap?
Then everybody, yeah, right.
See, that's kind of what I view St. Louis as. There's so much potential, here. It almost is like exciting even thinking about. That's what like gets me up every day. Like I'm thinking like, yo, all these cool ideas that could happen every day for our city, or just in general, like cool ideas that happen like with music and art that can be mixed together. I feel like I want to fuse theatrics and music together in a way that's like not just normal. Like a great example of what's been done recently is Hamilton. It's a great play. And I just think like, what if we could still use hip hop, but less in like a rapping way, but use like the sounds of hip hop. And more of the scratching, and like more use that. I want to make like a musical album, but it's like just instrumentals and just skits. You know what I mean? See what happens with that. Like it's just evolving music and creativity forward.
That's kind of what the West Coast culture had too, like putting like skits and like acts throughout their projects.
Yeah,
so,
right. Like, make it theatric.
Yeah. So your horizon is not just hearing it, it's like you're almost there.
You're seeing it.
Yeah. But like, I understand that a lot, Shay. As far as motivated me, I gotta say that like my greatest music, like the greatest pieces of work I've ever made wasn't through like any positive, happy-go-lucky situations. There always were negative, hateful situations. And that's what I would consider a struggle. Something like that. And so therefore, when I say the struggle inspires me, think of that. Think of negative, low states, that you're trying to like build out of. And a lot of people see those negative states as like, oh, well, down in the dumps is something bad. But it's like you don't have anything up here if you haven't been down here in the first place. It's just life for you up here. It's no value behind it. So yeah, man, I think quote unquote the struggle is what really motivated me to really get and do better. Because like even when I'm in those struggles, there's nothing going on. I feel like there's no development. I barely write. I barely make music. All this stuff. The goal of success
as itself is like more of like you're never gonna reach true success really when you think about it. Like okay, you reach success, but you're always like you're not gonna be happy.
Yeah, because it's like there's no experience. You know what I'm saying? You can't even empathize with yourself at that point.
Exactly, dude. Like,
it's like you don't know. You haven't been everywhere yet. And like I'm not saying a person that's struggling has, but they now have the thought of like I keep saying empathize, and I'm gonna say that a lot. But now that they know, now the horizon is more broad, and now they can empathize more with a lot of stuff. The more downhill I go, I feel like actually the more I rise once I start going back up. So hatred really is one thing that motivates me.
I don't know. It reminds me of that song "Watching with Ungrateful Eyes" by John Bellion. I just like the idea because we're always trying to like go for a little bit more than we can actually possibly achieve, which is great because that just shows you're progressing.
Yeah, that's how you grow.
It's just I don't know. I think that's like the coolest part about being just human in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Constantly growing, never stopping. That's my biggest fear is being stagnant. That's like my biggest.
And knowing
you're stagnant. That is like
But that's still important though.
Yeah, no, of course. But
if you don't know you're stagnant,
there's no way you can stop it. But like knowing that you are is also very torturous too. Yeah. Especially if you like now I'm in that same state where I'm just like I just feel like I can't move, and it's like I know that I'm just looking around like, but it's all mental, man. It's like sleep paralysis almost. Like you think like I can't move. Really, it's just all mental.
What excites you?
A good song.
I think if I did not perform as a career, like if performing wasn't a thing, I don't know if I would even like really be as excited in music. Cause it's with audio, it's like it's audio. You put all that energy, vocally into a track. What can you do vocally? Interview. What can you do vocally? But with a performance, it's like you're looking at body language, how they carry themselves, even the eye contact is so much. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
right.
It means so much. So like, I think the the adrenaline I get from performing is probably my favorite part about my entire career, man.
Yeah, you almost see it pay off more, right?
Yeah, definitely.
When you're performing live.
That's another thing too, because now you see, that's so true. You see all the work you've done, you know, because every face is like a piece of that work that's been created.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And even if they're like on their phones, you know, it's like, all right, well, you didn't have to be here. You could have been doing this. You could have been bowling, but you were here. You know, I take that.
So Q, you have a new song called Prophecy off your album Eulogy. What was the process and meaning behind the song?
I created Prophecy first off because, first off, let's say the lyricism. I love the way I addressed the song, but also as far as the concept, like first I was gonna name it John, and John is a character. I don't like saying character, but a person in the Bible who had, you know, the revelations revealed to him and all that stuff. And so out of inspiration for that, I actually read it the night before, and I kind of had a dream that I made the song, but it sounded nothing like how it is now. But the value behind it is the fact that I at one point in time was like, hey, you know, I had like a vision about the song that I made. You know, it was almost kind of scary because in the middle of it, I'm having deja vu making this song. And so I feel like, I feel like that song honestly was the one that connected to me most at the time. But people beg to differ, and Eulogy, the last song, Eulogy, Love is Dead, is what people relate to the most. Doesn't even have the most plays. If you want to talk about as far as the people, I do see why Eulogy is the one. You know, that's not a mental, that's a heart base. Not everyone can relate mentally, but if you put one piece of work there, every shell is broken. You have now with the heart process, the way the heart thinks. And Eulogy was that breaker, you know, was that barrier between thought and emotion.
That song made me cry.
Oh yeah, I've been told by you, Che.
That song made me
Did it really?
Bro, I was dying.
It's a good song,
thing.
yeah.
Bro, I was like...
He was just like, yeah. I was just kind of ranting, man. Kind of how I'm doing now, just ranting.
And Che, you have a new album out called Golden Rose Era. What was the thought process behind writing it?
Basically, it's talking about the negatives of my generation through the eyes of someone in my generation, a.k.a. me. It was mainly going to be...
A.k.a. me.
I was looking at all my negatives through, like, my generation's negatives through my eyes. Like, not through looking at other people's negatives, but through my negatives. Like, what problems I have about me being born in this area of time. Like, one thing, I have a song called Fair Trade, and it's based upon, like, talking about fair trades and fair deals by, like, referencing saying that's a fair trade nowadays. Like, we were born with guaranteed satisfaction, literally instant gratification everywhere we go. Yet we always complain and ask, like, why can't we get this? Why can't we get that? Why can't? Except for like trying to build off of things, we just say things just work out because this is how it works. We don't actually try to actually strive for more. So pretty much, I'm in Golden Rose Era. I'm not saying I know the answer. I'm establishing the problem. I was gonna figure out the answer using my actions after Golden Rose Era.
Interesting. All right, so what was your first gig or performance like?
My first gig is actually, I'm still doing gigs with the same guy who got me my first show. And I was with Subtle Aggression at the time, and first show I've ever done with my name and on the flyer was with Jonesy at Blank Space. Yeah, Blank Space. So, which Blank Space is family affiliated. Kareem Jackson, aka Tef Poe, he works, or his brother I think owns that, or something like that. I don't know. But that's all fam. So I've already kind of had affiliation with Blank Space, just never been there. It's a venue in Cherokee, right by 2720.
Okay.
And so, yeah, man, I had my first show there. It was awesome. Like, it was beyond the greatest experience I've ever had at the time. And so the thing about it was, though, like, I didn't think of by any means how many people would be there. Didn't care, still don't. Because the show, like, it wasn't the most people. But the thing is, I still see that same audience where it's just scattered audience, you know, not too many people are there or whatever. But I felt like I was able to connect more with them considering the fact there was less people. And so I think that's why it was like my greatest show, because I was able to show like all of this character that's been built up. You know, that was one of my realizations of like how, of the work, all the work that's been put in. It was just, that first night was just like, okay, this is it. Like, this is now my life. Regardless if I'm going to be like another J. Cole or, you know, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that first show made me realize that this is now a lifestyle and not just some gig playing every other week.
It's the same for me. Like, it was, I don't know. It kind of went from when I first started rapping after like a year. Like after a year of, I think, doing it when I was like in 6th grade. In 8th grade, my family and me went on a trip to a cruise ship. And my mom and my dad were really involved in the hip hop industry. Like they were like in St. Louis at least. Like my dad was a part of a group called Mildew. Like he was a huge outlet of just light in the hip hop like industry for some reason. Like I even get still today people hit me up like, remember Lifestyle from our last show?
Yeah,
he knew my dad and like Matthias knew my mom. Like
really,
like my mom and my dad are the main reasons. But my mom took me to this cruise and she knew the DJ. Everyone was on the deck, everyone. And my mom kind of prepped me ever since I started rapping. Like got me freestyling at her friend's house, like everything. She always like made me perform. So this one time when she did it, I got into like I saw everyone just make like a little shape around me, just like crowding around me. And I just started rapping to everyone. I was like, wow, this is. It was like a drug. It was crazy. I remember like I was bragging about it to my friends like years later. Like I was just,
still to this day, man.
Still to this day. Like it was like the best experience I ever had in my life, and I was like, this is what I'm born to do. This is like literally what I'm born for this.
That's awesome, guys. So how do you prepare for a show?
Same way I prepare for albums and projects. Except I take them a lot more seriously, considering the fact that's my favorite part. So, like, I don't get nervous recording. I don't get nervous in interviews. I don't get nervous. Yeah, I take a lot more time in rehearsal, a lot more thought. It's weird, though. I technically already prepped for it before I even started making music because one of my other passions at the time was football and boxing, which is all hand-eye coordination, you know, stuff like that. So my footing was already kind of on point. So from then on, it was all about presentation and how I present myself. Am I going to be the stuck-up Q, you know, kind of like I hate everybody or whatever. You know, it's all about vibes, you know. So I always choreograph myself by how I feel. And sometimes I don't have any emotion, so therefore there's no choreograph. There's no steps. I don't practice as much. Well, it's the same thing as a project. No matter how much I worry about it or how much I don't care, it's all going to be perfect.
I'm so melancholy for shows. Like, I wake up in the morning, like, weeks before, I'll be nervous until the day of. And I'm like...
I'm the exact opposite.
And I just, so like... Weird. And I'd be, like, melancholy, like, just goes in, like, okay, let's go perform the show.
What would you say has been your best performance?
I think the best one was, like, the one at Food Bar. Actually, no. Ready Room. Ready Room. Dylan Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Room.
Yeah, my favorite one was probably actually the one January we had, January 28th. It was a really good show. It was like, and I can't really tell you to distinguish what was the best. You know, I don't know. It was just, I guess, because that whole day I was just so, I almost canceled. Ex Jonesy, I almost canceled that show, and like literally like an hour before doors open, I was just like, I'm ready to go.
What did you almost cancel?
So many personal issues that was going on at that time. Then family, and there's so much stuff, man. It's just out of whack. And then, you know, everybody's like pulling a part of me, you know, in every direction. So I was just like finna call it quits for once. And yeah, to this day, I'm glad. I thank God I didn't, because that performance, it was just, I didn't perform that much before, or for like a few months before that or whatever. And it's just a lot of stuff that went on personally. So I was able to release that, give them, you know, my full authentic side. But on top of that, like we were talking about earlier, I was able to, like, I saw the work, you know, because I did a lot of promotion for that, just not a lot of social media promotion. And I realized, like, the more you and, you know, hand to hand with other people, you start to see that. And so I started seeing more and more people, more familiar faces, people I didn't even know when it came to my shows coming, you know? And so, like, it was just the fact that I could show them who I was, you know? Because there's always a certain face you have when you just walk past somebody in the hallway or see somebody on the street, it's just a hi. There's a certain face you see, but who I really was or potentially really could be was on that stage, and they were able to see that. So I had to say, like, out of all the performances, that was probably my most authentic one.
So what do you do in your free time besides music?
Draw and produce beats and go hiking and rolling grass.
Rolling grass?
Rolling grass every day, all day.
Rolling grass, that's pretty cool. I roll in grass a lot, too.
Eat Captain Crunch, you know. Yell at the birds in my backyard.
Honestly, man, I don't even want to sound like I'm treating music like it's like my god or something, but like it's not. It's always music affiliated, and so on my free time, it's like I'll read, of course, but even though I'm reading, it's like to build up my vocabulary so I can make some better rhymes. It's all it all reverts back to music.
What do you like to read?
Right now I'm actually reading Ishmael. I just got it from
Chamomile.
Books and Breakfast with Tepo kind of help sponsor. I was just talking to this lady and she was like, "You need to read this," and walked away. Didn't say anything. So yeah, I mean, I exercise too. I love exercising. Very good thing for me.
How do you promote yourself?
Ha! You wanna know how I promote myself? I make a project, right? And I just go outside, wake up, stretch, go outside, and I just yell, "My album drops today!"
Is that right?
Yep. And then that's it. And then that's it.
You just hear a bunch of cacaws throughout
200
the whole...
plays later, I'm booming.
You just hear a bunch of cacaws throughout the whole, like, all Webster Groves.
You hear crickets, too, at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Dude, I posted on Facebook. And I share it.
We're working on all that, like
promoting.
It's tough.
Voters.
Yeah,
That's the hardest part.
We need better content. That's the bigger importance. Like if we have more music, because we've been doing this for years, but like I feel like now it's like the booming phases. When we got into the mindset of making our own albums, because we can produce our own music, or like just we're viewing it more narrow, like. We're looking at it like, here are like the shots we gotta take out. We're looking at it as missiles. Mm-hmm. Like our albums are like missiles. Like
yeah,
definitely.
But yeah, we just do it strategically. Try to see we just follow our heart and our intuition and see what songs would come out and what songs work. And if the song is good, I think people would vibe off of it. We try to do it closely knit promotion, more through people. Just go in to meet people, because I've heard my buddy Muhammad told me one thing: you don't have fans, you have supporters at this stage. You have friends. You don't make fans, you make friends.
Yeah.
And that's a big important part of it. People can't be establishing themselves as a socialite celebrity when we're like, bro, I'm just trying to make good music and have people relate to it. And and whatever comes next, awesome. But the vision is great there, but people won't connect to the vision. People connect to you, a person.
Yeah. Now, if you had a soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
Carry on my wayward son.
Foreigner?
Yes. Don't you cry no more. Oh.
Probably the one song that probably establishes a soundtrack to me is Absol's Long-Term Mentality, this song. He has like one verse and the rest is just him talking to I forgot his name, not Paul. He's a vocalist. I forgot his name though. But what they're doing is just reminiscing on how he got to where he was at, But it was like what he was saying is that everything that they were talking about was something he thought of beforehand. So like that's why it was called Long-Term Mentality, because like all the stuff that they were doing and he thought of years and years before it. And I relate a lot to it, It's like everything that I've done so far, I spoke into existence at one point. Now at this stage, I have to really watch what I say. I don't know. That song really just pinpoints a lot about my mentality too. So
if you could make like a mixture playlist of A$AP Rock and Sarah Bareilles, that would be my lifestyle. You know what I mean?
I can see that definitely.
I can't, but that'd be amazing though. I'd just be like Finn from that meme. Just take my money from Futurama. Just take my money. A$AP Rock and Sarah Bareilles, you guys need to make a album together, please.
There we go.
You guys need to do that. Like, do it for me. Do it for me. Do it for St. Louis.
Shay, you told us a little bit earlier. What new projects are you working on?
I'm working on a collab project with Q.
Yeah.
It's more of like a psychedelic kind of vibe to it. I wanted to make like something like ethereal and almost like the cover was us just looking at like this crazy landscape.
It's very cool. It's like tornadoes and all this really
weird
funky
shit.
stuff going on, and me and Shay just like
looking down at it. Like,
cool. As far as my next project, I don't really like planning it out, but the idea I have. Kill 'Em All. Let me tell you what Kill 'Em All is about. Kill 'Em All is it's not gonna, you hear a lot of black artists talking about black empowerment, all this stuff, but they never really give you facts. They never really tell you where we were really from. They don't give you, the things that's not necessarily hidden but just not talked about. They don't really talk about that. And so on this next project, I'm not really trying to be like on the one side platform on the racial term or whatever like that, but I am definitely going to talk about where we originally came from. But there's a lot of stuff that's just not talked about and is pushed under the carpet of who and what we really are and what our potential really is. And this project, I feel like, not just for me, but for a lot of people that don't even know me. If they don't relate, they're going to at least understand what I'm talking about, And that's going to be the main goal. I'm thinking right now I might name it literally I, capital I, and then Q. So like IQ, and then like almost like a brainiac state of mind or whatever.
The whole project?
Yeah, it's just so I'm just gonna let it connect, man. I'm gonna let God do His work, and whatever happens, happens. But I feel like what's really on my heart right now is just the truth in general, And the reason why I kind of disfavor Eulogy as much as this next project is because I just talked about knowing the truth. Didn't talk about what it was, any of that. I'm just like, look, when truth comes, understand it. Now, this project is to let people know, like, hey, this is what I'm not even gonna say believe, factually, this is what the truth is. It's half of it's not even in my favor, Yeah. That's what people don't understand. Is like, I say it with confidence because that's just what it is, not because I like it. And so this project is gonna be coming from all these different, kind of like Everyone by Logic. It's gonna be coming from a lot of different parts and a lot of different people, but it's all gonna be kind of connected to one dot in the middle. And that one dot in the middle is just gonna be the truth.
Well, I'm very excited to hear it. Thanks so much, guys.
No problem.
This is awesome. Definitely an insightful episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to these guys as much as I did interviewing them. You can follow Q and Che on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and SoundCloud. The links for these, as well as for Coalition, are in the show notes. You can stream Q's new song, Prophecy, on SoundCloud and YouTube. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to tweet at me your number one takeaway at Watson_sound. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Watson Sound Studio. If you are a recording artist and would like to work with me for your next project, you can view my services and send me a message at watsonsoundstudio.com. Be sure to stay up to date with the podcast by subscribing on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube. Thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in to next week's episode with Christian Orlet, Brendan Wickline, Emma Hartman, and Josh Brumfield from Two Headed Cow.
So what are we?
Unless you know how to break through the codes, you're not going to get this. You're going to go to church and you're going to get these lessons on how to be a good person. But being a good person is going to help all of us get to a certain consciousness. But just going to church is going to take a long time for that, for everyone to become a good person. So once we all come to a collective agreement of who and what we are, that's when the sun will do what it needs to do for us to move on to the next level. Because there is a next level.